So, it's been a while, guys. It's been a very long time since I did a Dirty Bomb video. In fact, I was actually going to do the intro where I basically said, what is up, guys? Rensai here, welcome to Dirty Bomb, but then I realized that I wasn't Rensai anymore, so I couldn't really say that. Old habits die hard, I guess. But that being said, what is up, guys? Welcome to Dirty Bomb. I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay that's going on in the background, because it has admittedly been a while since I played the game, so I am quite rusty in terms of aiming and tracking people. But that being said, one thing I have noticed after coming back to Dirty Bomb is the performance. It seems like they have did a really good job in improving the performance, at least personally on my computer. I don't know how other people are on their computer. But for me personally, I found that I've been able to run the game really smoothly and just overall play really well. There are times where I'm still getting frame drops from like explosions and airstrikes and whatnot, but overall it's actually not to the point where it was in the past, where for some reason I would get frame drops just from standing still. I don't know, that didn't really make sense to me. I'm not getting that problem anymore, so overall, good job. Looks like you guys really are working on improving the game. Not to mention, there seems to be a patch coming in early November where there will be changes coming to particular maps that are just basically really hard for the attackers to actually win on. Now, before we actually get into the topic of this video, I want to mention that right now I'm actually using a new microphone. It's the Blue Snowball. I'll include a picture on the screen right now for those of you who are curious what it looks like. And I really don't know how my audio is going to sound. It's actually my first time using this microphone, and all I really did was pull it out of the box and plug it into my computer and started using it immediately. So any feedback on my audio would be appreciated, though I will like to mention if my voice sounds a little bit strange, that is because I am currently sick. So yeah, make sure to factor that in terms of your feedback. Anywho, with that said, today I wanted to talk about Thunder, who is by far one of my favorite mercenaries to play in Dirty Bomb. He definitely isn't the best assault mercenary. If you were looking for that, then that would be Fragger, simply because Fragger is a killing machine capable of completely destroying whoever the hell he goes up against. But I personally found that Thunder is the most enjoyable to play, which is actually kind of funny, because when he was first released he was enjoyable to play, but I found him actually extremely annoying. Back then when Thunder was first released, for the first part, everybody was playing as Thunder because he was a new mercenary, and as a result you couldn't walk 2 meters without getting blind or getting a white screen, and so that was actually quite frustrating. But another problem was, back then Thunder's flashbang or concussion grenade, whatever you like to call it, it was actually not coded correctly, so more often than not you would blind yourself before you blind the enemy. I remember a ton of times where I would throw the grenade towards the enemy, I would duck behind cover or look in a different direction, and still somehow hit myself. It actually didn't really make any sense back then, and in fact Splash Damage did confirm that they did not code the grenade correctly, and as a result that was why it was performing so poorly. Not to mention, if you get blind nowadays, it's actually a gray combined with a white screen. It wasn't a pure white screen like it was back then. So yeah, can you imagine just getting that jarring white screen every time you hit yourself with the flashbang? It was awful. It was actually freaking awful. Though I will state that one thing that I did enjoy back then, when Thunder was first released, was the fact that his grenades actually did have an EMP effect, which allow him to disable any deployables. So as a result, if you threw it around a corner where you knew an aura or rhino was set up, you can actually easily take them out. But again, that's assuming that the grenade didn't decide to freak out and also blind you even if you weren't looking at it or if you were behind the wall. With that said, I have to say that the reason I enjoy Thunder so much isn't actually because of his ability, although it is fun to blind people, let's be honest here. The reason I enjoy Thunder so much is actually because of the MK46, which is one of his primary weapons. This gun is amazing. It's not the best weapon in Dirty Bomb, so don't take that the wrong way. In fact, it's actually one of the worst. but it is very fun to use in my personal opinion. For one thing, you have 85 rounds in your magazine, which basically means that you can fire for a very long time before having to let go of the trigger. And as a result, it's basically the definition of a spray and pray weapon. It is very enjoyable to just shoot bullets, as that's what you usually do in first-person shooter games. And I found that in the past I would actually use the MK46 like I was using Raire with the K121, and it actually didn't work out that well because the MK46, while it has a lot of rounds in its magazine and it has a high rate of fire, it actually doesn't deal that much damage per shot. I believe it only deals 11 damage per shot. In the past it actually dealt 12 damage per shot, I believe, though that might be incorrect, I'm not quite sure. But this basically meant that if you were using the MK46, you have to engage your enemies at close range. If you try to engage them at long range, you're gonna have a very hard time, even if you're aiming for those headshots, even if you are landing those headshots, because at long range you're basically dealing single-digit damage, and obviously that's really not gonna do much. That's just gonna tickle your enemy, they're gonna laugh at you, and then they're gonna proceed to gun you down with whatever assault rifle or higher damage weapon that they're using. Not to mention, at closer ranges, there are also SMGs that will probably take you down as well. For one thing, the MK46, at least from my experience, isn't a super accurate weapon. I believe there is a bit of spread to it compared to the SMGs in this game, which are pretty much pinpoint accurate. And as a result, with the MK46, as I said before, it's kind of spray and pray. You kind of just shoot in the general direction and hope that your enemy goes down before you do. Though, then again, that's where the flashbang comes in. You know, you throw it, they get stunned, and then you can finish them off while just aiming for the head. But at longer ranges, you actually don't want to be using the MK46 because I found that you're not going to be dealing significant damage. They're just going to walk away, they're going to heal, they're going to come back, and then they're going to easily take you out. But yeah, with that said, I have to say, I hope you guys found the video interesting, or at least entertaining, whichever one it is. I feel like both of those things are exactly the same thing, so I don't even know why I said that. But yeah, considering how my voice is at the current moment, I honestly feel like I'm gonna become the Terminator at any point. I will say though, I'm actually really glad that I came back to Dirty Bomb. It's been quite a while since I actually touched the game, and while the patches aren't coming as quickly as possible, they are definitely making some changes, making some noticeable changes, I should say, which means that I can actually enjoy the game and play knowing that Splash Damage actually wants the game to succeed. For one thing, I was actually afraid that Splash Damage might try something drastic again, because, well, that wouldn't be the first time they did something like that. But in this case, it seems like they are taking the safer route, to which I am kind of glad. Anywho, with that said, and all that said, and a lot of saids being repeatedly said, I have to say thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time. Share the video if you thought it was okay. And maybe even subscribe, though that might be pushing it too far. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, and as always, remember to be considerate and exit through the back door. Bye.